Welcome back to the official Atari Games podcast. A second shot here. Sometimes we have some technical difficulties. That's okay. I am here joined by, this is Jason here. Sorry, feel frazzled, Jason. Joined by Stephen Kick, CEO of Nightdive. Stephen, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jason, thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining. Also joined by Samuel Kaiser Villarreal, Lead KEX developer. Samuel, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And you?
Thank you for asking. No one ever asks how I'm doing. I'm doing quite well. I'm a little frazzled, as I said, but you know what? Just got to roll with the punches sometimes. But yeah, we're not going to get into that. Point is, this is a take two. We didn't get very far the last time, but we are cruising along right here. So without any further ado, let's get into it. First of all, the Atari Discord. You should join it. How do you join it? Well, just mosey your way down to that little description down there in the YouTube description, the podcast description, and you can click right there and join that and talk to a bunch of cool people. And yeah, also, hey, if you're listening to this, first of all, thank you. And second of all, maybe take the time to leave us a little review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you can actually leave a review. Those also go a long way and will help expose the podcast to new audiences. So thank you for that. I always like honest opinions, but you know, nothing wrong with putting a 5-star on there and then say how you really feel. That would also be great. I think the algorithm looks more so for ratings than actual nice, kind things you say about us. Now for a little bit of news here. First of all, Lunar Lander Beyond, it's still out now, but at the time that this podcast drops, we will have a new patch released, which will add a little bit of quality of life features following the game's release. So be on the lookout for that. And if you still have cold feet, a demo is now available for the Switch. And you could also download an updated demo on Steam. So check it out. If you're still not ready, give us a wish list. That's always appreciated. Coming soon, NeoSprint. We have a release date, June 27th, wish list, pre-order. It's basically on every console you can imagine. It's coming on that date for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series XS, and Switch. Pre-order that, wish list, do the thing, or just buy it and play it right now on Atari VCS. All the options. But look, we're joined by some Nightdive people, right? So we got to talk about Nightdive. It's a big week for Nightdive. System Shock Remake is out now on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series consoles. It's still available on Steam. Epic Game Store, right?
And the Epic Game Store.
Sweet.
And GOG. Let's not forget.
And GOG.
Let's not forget good old games.
Absolutely. It's got good in the name. It's good stuff. So yeah, check that out. If you've been waiting for those console releases, those are out now. And hey, if that's not enough Nightdive goodness for you, then why not get POed? The game we're about to talk about a lot right now, which just came out last week at the time of this recording. And that is available in all those places in addition to Switch. So check that out. And if you need convincing, well, stick around. Why don't you? Hang out for a bit. And we'll do that right here. Now, first, gentlemen, before we talk about that, this is going to be a weird question. I don't normally prepare people for the warm-up question, and this is a bit of a risk, so I hope you have something. POed, it is loosely a cooking game. Can we call it that? How much of a cooking game versus first-person shooter / throwing knives? There's shooting / other things. It's a little part of it is driven by culinary situations. Can we agree or disagree on that?
I would have to agree.
I agree, Sam.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
So here's the warm-up question. Great. What is your biggest food pet peeve? And if you need time to compose yourself, I could throw out an example of one of my own.
Overcooked steak for me.
Oh,
it's
man.
Just it crushes my soul if I get a steak that's overcooked. I'm just like, what's the point?
Too much garlic.
You've had a few scarring. Now, what do you feel if you're out with somebody and they order explicitly a well-done steak?
Well, Sam said too much garlic. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna reply to that instead. I don't think you can ever have enough garlic.
I agree. Man, so too much garlic. That's your answer, Samuel?
That's my answer.
All right. So I got to say, for me, it's when you go out for pizza, right? and someone slices a slice of pizza in half into two smaller slices. That, for some reason, drives me absolutely crazy. Just eat the slice. Just eat the slice.
I did that last night.
You cut it. You cut a slice into smaller slices.
I did. I just wanted a sliver because you can fit the whole sliver in your mouth all at once. Whereas a whole slice, I mean, that's gluttonous, right? But like a whole,
No,
a
I'm
thin
in. I'm
slice,
in New
you can
York.
kind of roll it up and.
I'm in New York. Wait, roll it up. Now I want to know more about this.
Well, it's just like how much pizza can I get into my mouth at once without looking, revolting? Because, I mean,
I'm now envisioning that you've rolled this up like pizza, like you've cut this slice into another slice, and then you've rolled this up into like a little pizza sushi roll type situation. And you've just
Exactly.
eaten- Oh my god, that's what you've done.
You could do that. I mean, it's still pizza, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I-
Have you got thoughts on this?
Oh, I was going to say, I would probably drive you nuts because if it was a stuffed crust pizza, I would probably just slice off just the crust and I would just eat that.
Well, at that point, you're eating mozzarella sticks. That is, for somehow that is less offensive to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why, but keep in mind the thought that's in my head is thin crust pizza, New York pizza. You're already gonna fold the slice into like the size of the half a slice that you've just done it. So now you've created this really narrow slice that you cannot fold. Also,
Okay.
what? Because you couldn't fit a half a slice in your tummy there. Anyway,
All right. We know where you stand
anyway, now you know what this conversation is making me.
Go ahead.
POed. So with that, well, if you're on YouTube, you can check this out. We're going to start the stream here. But if you're on audio format, so you want to see a little bit of the game itself, we're gonna play a little bit of POed. So, all right, there's a story on POed, why you guys have made it, and where it came from and all this stuff. So I'm now playing. This is from level 4, I believe, core, right? But while I'm playing, I want to get just a little bit of background. Like, tell me about POed. Tell me about how it came to be the latest Nightdive release.
I think I was literally the only person that wanted to do this. I did bring this up a while back as a joke, asking Steven, "Hey, when are we going to do PO'd? When is it going to happen?" And I would just say it as a joke, and then like 2 years ago, I asked the same thing again, and and Steven was like, "Oh, hey, I went ahead and contacted the original devs, and they expressed a lot of interest." And then I at first I thought he was pulling my leg. I wasn't sure if if he was joking or not, but no, he actually reached out to the original devs, and they were very interested in doing a modern port of the game. And from there, we had a phone call with them, just as a general introduction, and I expressed that I was a huge fan of their work, and it was just one of those games that just stuck with me for a long time. I don't know why it was so. I don't know why I was so drawn to it. It was just one of those games that just grew on me. I just really enjoyed it, and just one thing after another.
What's your background? What's your background with the original?
Well,
like, did you play it on the 3DO?
I remember reading about this, seeing these screenshots of this game in a Game Fan magazine, and I was just the first thing that came to mind was just how different it looked. It looked very colorful, but as a joke. At the same time, it looked really when are we going to do bizarre. It looked really weird. It was in like every other FPS game that I've seen during that time, and it piqued my interest. And then like of course, I never had a 3DO at the time, so the only thing I could I could do is just look at screenshots and look at like various game reviews about it. But I eventually learned that it was ported to the PS1, and and at that time I had a PS1, so the first thing I did was I went straight to Blockbuster to see if they had it for rent, and yeah, I saw it, and then I finally got to play the game, and yeah, I the moment I started playing it, I was really hooked. It really it just grew on me. So it was actually a really fun experience playing it. That I was a huge fan of their work.
How would you I mean, this game is so wild. I mean, I kind of hinted at the food thing before. How would you actually describe it to an unsuspecting audience of people? Like what is POed?
I don't know why I was so drawn to it. I would describe it as it just grew on me. I just really enjoyed it. And one thing after another. Hold on,
Steven, you want to give it a shot?
Thinking. It's like imagine taking.
Go ahead, Sam.
I mean, imagine taking Doom and leave it in the hands of an art student, and just see them go wild with the abstract art style of the game. But like, just imagine that. Like, imagine taking Doom, but giving it a modern art aesthetic to it. FPS game that I've seen during that time. Because it
modern art.
It piqued my interest. Yeah, it definitely has that. I never just had that look to it. That thing I could do is that experimental art style. To me, it just looked very. It looked very experimental, like very experimental and very abstract. It was ported to the PS1, and
okay. I think that's fair.
At that time, I had a PS1.
Yeah, there's definitely elements of that. The enemy design, not so much the bats, but everything else. The enemy is kind of it's super tricky.
I saw it, and then I
yeah. To what Sam said too, the thing that really drew me to it was just how unique everything is in terms of the shapes, the colors, the enemy design, the weapons, the overall presentation, and it just makes me feel nostalgic for that time in gaming where a group of friends would get together with very little to no experience making a game, and they just go, hey, let's just make this thing. What if it had this? What if we could do this? And they somehow managed to pull it all together and ship it on some platform back in the day. And it's just it's an anomaly, really, and I'm just so happy to see that it's available to play so easily and so readily, because it is kind of a hard game to track down even today.
Oh yeah, and it's not like 3DOs were in mass production, right? And even using those retro consoles, like I did look up a little bit of footage, and I think the like the 3DO and the PlayStation version are they're not the same, right? Isn't there a difference?
No, they're pretty much identical. The only difference is that the PS1 has a little bit higher frame rate, and maybe some of the art assets were kind of scaled down just a little bit, but overall it's more or less the same game. That experimental art style. To me, it just looks.
So what was it like working on it? Like I think
experimental and just,
man, I'm trying to think. So what was it like working on this game, like from the KEX engine perspective, and what does that actually mean to work on this game, like in the KEX engine, because compared to some of the other titles you've worked on?
Usually it's not common to be able to remaster a title where we have like the complete source code of the game. Unlike Turok, where most of the code had to be done from the ground up. POed's source code was used directly, so very little work actually had to be done. The only thing that just had to be replaced was to replace all of the PS1 specific um, references, like just the simple stuff like gamepad and the rendering and all of the low level stuff, and just replace it with KEX's backend. So uh, a lot of it was very easily ported over, and I think I actually got the whole thing running on PC and Switch in just a week.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Runs at
yeah.
What's the frame rate on this? I think I already know the answer to that, but I want you to flex.
The frame rate was already fine. The the only there was literally there was no frame rate issues. There were some minor things that I was doing wrong on KEX's side that was causing memory bloat, but I eventually found what it was, and I started handling things correctly and all that. So yeah, it was more or less a pretty straightforward process. The source code was surprisingly I guess it was it didn't really suffer much of code rot like with other source codes. So there wasn't like a bunch of stuff that that wouldn't compile on modern compilers. A lot of it was pretty trying to find a word. Not well preserved, but the code was pretty. It was pretty stable, especially when porting it to 64-bit platforms. There was only maybe just a few minor things, like reading pointers from the level files and stuff like that. But more or less, the porting process was very quick, and it was actually the easiest code base that I've ever worked with. So it was very it was a very smooth and quick process. I did eventually had to try to find a way to perfectly emulate the PS1 way of rendering. But other than that, it was very quick. It was very quick and easy. The only
Cool.
there was literally
all right. I need honest judgment. How am I doing right
issues.
now?
There were some minor.
It's like what's interesting. I think what I found most interesting about this game is the level design is
I eventually
crazy. Like I find it fascinating thinking about how level design works, like and how we like looking at the times when the industry was like figuring stuff out, right?
Straightforward process.
And you made the comment before that it's like a bunch of people kind of got together and decided to make a game, I think, right? And
I guess it was
it's
it's
a little bit like that. And back in the day, like when this came out, because it was 94, right?
So there was 95 for 3DO and 90 that wouldn't compile on 6 or 7 for the PS1 compilers. A lot of it was
yeah. So there's like a very strong sense of figure it out, right?
Well preserved, but
like I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, it was still very experimental. I mean, it's pretty typical for most games back in the '90s, where the general idea of level design wasn't fully. I mean, I would say that developers haven't really fully figured it out yet. Like, what's the best user experience,
right?
In my opinion, and I've ever worked with. So yeah, PO definitely it definitely suffers from that experimental time period where everybody's still they're still trying to figure everything out. Way of rendering, like having like hiding doors that resembles walls, or
Oh,
like see-through walls and stuff like that. That's definitely that's very old school experimental 90s level design, which has been pretty frequent in a lot of older FPS titles back then.
oh wait, there we go. Am I supposed to go down there then? Is that what's going on here? Let's see here. I think there's a bit of a bridge here. I think I see where I'm supposed to go. Maybe. This is yeah. So what would you? So with that in mind, if people want to jump into this, how would you tell them? No. Look, you could get through this. You could do this. And these are some tips. What tips would you give people who are saying, yeah, I want to check it out, I want to play this?
For the PS1. Yeah, the beginning of the game is going to be a little bumpy, but things become a lot more. It was still. I guess it was still very experimental. The game. Basically finds its voice as further on later on in the progression. But for those who want to get into it, just I would say the first thing is definitely start getting accustomed to the controls, especially with the physics, because the way that it was coded to be a little bit too realistic in terms of movement. So you kind of move around like you basically move around like a rolling ball. So you easily run up slopes, ramps, and you easily slide off of ramps, and it's something that you have to get kind of used to. And another thing is definitely like which has been take advantage of using the auto map, because there are a lot of areas early on in the game where progression is like hidden behind walls, or there's doors that looks like walls, but it's kind of like camouflage to blend in with the environment. So you kind of have to like feel your way around the environment, and you have to like use your auto map to figure out where your next destination should be. But after the first few levels, it becomes a lot more open-ended, and I think at that point, that's where the game starts to really things starts to really kick up, and that's where the game starts to find its voice. And that's when once you have the jetpack, that's when things starts to get really interesting. I guess but
I just ended up in this area where I thought I was making progress, and then
later on in the
I'm just in this room.
But for those who want to get into
but it's cool. It's very interesting, and I like that. I got to ask though, what because there are you guys have definitely made some enhancements, right? So what are the biggest differences? Because you keep all that core stuff that makes that game what it is, and I think that's important. That's an important point to make, right? And that is a selling point, like the fact that this is like a preservation effort. Like this is not trying to take that away. Hey, yeah, we're not going to expose these walls to you. You got to figure it out, because that's the game. If you take that away, it's not POed anymore. Then it's something else. So
yeah,
but I'm not playing it on 3DO. So I was going to say, what kind of updates have you made to the game?
And another thing
versus, compared to the original release.
Definitely, I was trying to be a little bit conservative with the game. I didn't want to change too much, but there were some minor enhancements that I've added that, of course, they can be toggled on and off. But one of the enhancements was the flamethrower was given a slight buff, where you can actually set them on fire, set monsters on fire, and they would actually receive lingering damage over time. So where your next so it's like if you should be if you're trying to take cover, you can set a monster on fire, take cover, and then wait for that monster to die from the lingering damage from the flames. I know that later on in the game, the flamethrower starts becoming a lot more useless. So I figured to give it a little boost, just so that weapon can still remain relevant throughout the rest of the game. The other feature was just minor fixes like jumping. There's currently a bug where you can sometimes double jump on ledges, and it could actually accumulate your upward velocity. So if you hold down jump and you're jumping like jumping up towards a series of stairs, your velocity will get accelerated so much that it'll just send you like flying it'll just send you flying across the entire map. So I ended up putting a fix for that, but you can toggle it off if you still want to enjoy the buggy nature of jumping. And with the game, I didn't want to change of course there's some other little things that you can turn off, like screen shakes, and they can be toggled on and off. If you want to display pickup messages or not, because the original game didn't have any sort of message when you pick up an item, so you can actually set them on fire. So that was another feature that I've added. Lingering damage over time.
Sam, would you say that the jump bug fix that you put in, and the fact that you made it toggleable, does that have anything to do with potentially speed runs, that type of thing?
That I don't know. I think, I mean, if the speedrunning scene for POed is large enough, I mean, if some people might find boost, they might find like an advantage with it, but it could be. I mean, it's up in the air. I mean, it could serve as a potential tool or not. I'm not sure. There's currently a bug where.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing it on the next Games Done Quick.
On ledges.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you,
I would love to
if you know, I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can definitely beat the game under 20 minutes. Towards a series of stairs.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
Yeah, what's your excuse, man?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, well, that's fair.
It was funny because I got to be honest, and I think that's part of the charm, right? Like, look, these games are what they are, and that's cool. Like, I don't feel shame in looking up guides. So when I was looking up, it was the level before this, Sponge, right? And it's, to your point, it was the first time where you actually had to find an invisible wall to progress through the game. And I'm watching this guy play like a walkthrough, and he also just straight up stops playing. He just stops playing the game. I was like, what's going on? I'm moving it forward. I'm like, oh, this guy's also kind of looking up what to do at the same exact place that I'm looking up what to do. But again, that's the charm. Like, if a modern game, like, this is going to sound weird because, the game just came out last week in its current form, but like, if a modern game did this, right, it would be like lambasted immediately. They'd be like, what are they doing? This is ridiculous. It's obtuse. It's unless I have like a theory that, like, unless you go up front and say, no, this is the point. This is what you're supposed to do. I need to get out of here because I need to I want to get
you're like, I'm done.
I want to go to a level that I'm actually like not going to keep dying at. So let's just jump in so you can see how this game starts.
I have considered fixing up some of the gameplay in those maps. I know I definitely did that a lot in Turok 2, where I've shortened a lot of the tunnels in Lair of the Blind Ones. And looking back, I think I should have at least I mean, had some sort of hints for Sponge, and maybe I should have added some minor hints in Shuttle as well, because
You
looking
didn't
at it
say
now,
core, so just watching me flail in core, that's just a me problem.
yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah, he says.
I think in a future patch, yeah, I think in a future patch, I might do something about that, because looking at it now, it does seem a little bit a tad bit frustrating, and I can definitely see I can definitely understand the frustrations. So yeah,
Yeah, but
I might consider.
you
Go
walk
ahead.
that line, right? And I guess as an option, maybe, but walking that line is always hard because you're like, no, this was the game. I want to give you the game that, like, why people liked it was because of how, or why it has this kind of cult status was because
Yeah.
of its obtuse nature and how kind of odd it is, right? So how do you do that without losing that charm? And it's a tough line to walk. I completely understand
It is.
Now I do want to know, and Steve, maybe you could answer this question. Why the April Fool's Day announcement?
Yeah, Stephen, why April Fools?
Well, well, I just thought it would be a really great opportunity to, put some doubt into our audience, into our fans, or at least just kind of play with their expectations a little bit, because I think the last game that we had done before this was Star Wars Dark Forces.
Yes.
Which you could argue it's a legacy title that has a really fantastic history. Of course, it's associated with the Star Wars IP. It's not canon, but it tells the story of how the Death Star plans were stolen, and culturally, it's an important game. And I knew that if we were going to do POed next, we might want to, it'd be a little bit more of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing for us. But the fun thing for me was announcing it on April Fool's, knowing full well that it was a real game, it was a real thing that we were going to do, and it was just fun. It was just a great way to let people know that we work on big titles like Star Wars and Doom and Quake, and we also do games like POed. It's when it comes down to it, our whole mission is to preserve video games, and that doesn't mean just the ones that were top sellers or loved by millions, but also games like POed and some of the other ones that we've done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, it's cool stuff. Is there anything that any good stories, anything you want to say about the game before I mercifully stop people witnessing my horrible playing of it? I assure you, it's not as bad as I'm making it look. I mean, as far as like difficulty goes and navigation. I also need to explain what I'm playing this on, because it's kind of running like in a small window on the other side of this room. So I'm making all my excuses. So you can understand why I'm playing so poorly.
Well, I wanted to go back to your first question about how we managed to find this game. And Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember it maybe a little bit differently than you, but you had been asking for this game for a number of years. And I think originally I had done some legwork to try to figure out where the rights were, who the original owners were, that type of thing. And then it was maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And I think it was on your birthday. And you had asked me if I could sincerely go and look for this game. And I think that it was like a birthday gift to you. Am I remembering that correctly?
Almost. Yeah. I actually, I acquired the source code on my birthday, but we reached out to the devs a few months prior to that. But yeah, that was the best. That was like the best 40th birthday gift present that I've received. That was a great way to sell.
It had something to do with that.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we had reached out. What was actually a really big help was Moby Games.
Oh yeah.
It's got the full
Shout
credits
out to Moby.
of everybody who worked on it, and I think I reached out to Russell, who is the lead engineer, on LinkedIn, I think, and he was just thrilled that we had interest in putting the Nightdive touch on POed, and it was a very simple conversation. I remember we all got into a call with Russell and a couple of the other devs, and Sam basically got to tell them how much he loved and appreciated what they had done. And I think that interaction is kind of what sealed the deal. They saw what the game meant to Sam, and they said, "Yeah, let's do it." So here we are, a year and a half later, I think, and
Yep.
yeah, it's just great.
That's awesome. So what else is on your obscure 3DO list of games to bring next?
Oh boy.
Or that you're asking. I was asking more for Sam, like from his obscure list of things that he's trying to get you to bring over the line here.
Yes.
Hey, now go find this one.
Is your birthday coming up again? What can I get you?
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. I'll probably DM you. I acquired the source code on my birthday.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
But
Nice. This guy gets the political answers.
Well, Sam,
one of the-
I was
That's the
gonna
right
say
way to do
you go ahead. Tell me what would be interesting to you, and I'll just I'll put out a.
Well, I have.
This doesn't mean that we're gonna do it.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. But go ahead.
This is not scripted. It's just me being. Kind of a
I have
jerk.
mentioned the Alien trilogy from PS1 and Loaded from PS1 as well, and I've also mentioned Codename Tenka, which was also a PS1. I think that one was published by Psygnosis.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
it's
Yeah.
the same publisher of Wipeout. But yeah, those are like those three other titles are like other games that I would just love to be able to work on. Like,
There you go.
Alien trilogy would be my pick.
Yeah, I mean, being able to work on PO just to see how the game worked was just a great. It was just a great experience. Like learning what the game did and how everything worked. And because I say that because for the longest time I was trying to reverse engineer the level formats for PO, but I could just never figure it out. And finally seeing that mystery finally being solved is just a great accomplishment. And I was just just very fascinated by just how the game worked.
Yeah. It's really interesting. It's almost like an avant-garde first-person shooter / knife throwing / frying pan swinging game.
I'll probably
So, Jason, I got a question for Sam.
Yeah, do it.
I've probably asked you this before, Sam, but if you were to make your own game from this era, or let's say 93 to 2000, you've had the responsibility of working on Turok, Quake 2, Doom 64, Shadow Man, all these games from the Nightdive library. What would you make? Like, what would be your dream game if you were to do your own original thing?
And I've also mentioned Codename Tenka, which was also a PS1. I think that one was published. Probably would like to make a game similar to Power Slave, but with a more minimalistic art style. Instead of Egyptian themed, it would be like Aztec themed, and it would be a lot more to be able to work on. A lot more larger in terms of environments and exploring. So yeah, that would be really something really cool to be able to work on if there was a opportunity. What the game did.
What kind of engine kind of look like? Would you want to have it be more like Quake or Quake 2 in terms of like rendering complexity?
I mean, it would probably be something similar to either Doom or Power Slave. Power Slave's the way that game renders and handles everything is pretty similar to Doom, but a lot more. It's just a lot more flexible in terms of like dealing with rooms over rooms. So that would I would probably just go with something like that, since I'm already familiar with um, designing levels for Doom. So just like drawing rooms out in a from a 2D top down and building sectors is has a very quick iteration times, like very fast turnaround times. So it would be great for doing block outs and just experimenting with different things.
Would you, so like 3D environments, would you still want to do 2D sprites, or would you want 3D characters as well?
Oh, 2D sprites, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, it'd
And
be like
would you have like the Metroidvania kind of level design, or?
yeah, very Metroidvania level design. It would essentially be 2D sprites in a light map, like a 3D light map environment. Like it'd be like Quake, using light maps but using 2D sprites.
Cool.
A lot more
Sweet.
larger.
I like that
in terms
idea.
of environments and
Sounds
exploring.
Cool. There you go. Look at that.
So
nice little brainstorm
yeah,
on the podcast.
That would be really that'd be something really cool to
it's cool stuff.
To work on. If
right
was,
on. Yeah. Well, I want to be respectful of you guys' time. Any closing thoughts before we move on to our last little section here?
No?
I gotta ask how. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, for me, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And
we're not done. We're not done. We gotta go to the last segment here.
All right, never mind.
I want to talk about some other games with you guys. So, all right. Well, actually, first of all, what I want to ask, this is something I've been asking more and more people who join the podcast is, what is your favorite part of the job? So what is it that gets you most excited in the at Nightdive? Samuel, you could start.
Designing levels for Doom. So looking at drawing rooms out, source codes from a 2D. I mean, being able to look at source code of games that you grew up playing. I think that's like one of the biggest benefits. It would be great that, and for doing block outs. You know, I can just keep on like continued learning and improving the tech, and just learning more things about rendering, and further just getting better at it. I mean, it'd be like.
Awesome. Steve, what about you?
For me,
about CEOing at Nightdive?
Yeah, well, I get the benefit of communicating directly with a lot of our fans, and when a game comes out and somebody messages me, or I get a Discord message or an email, or I've even gotten letters written to me before about people who are just so grateful being able to play their favorite games again for a myriad of reasons. And a lot of them kind of stem from somebody playing this game in their childhood with their father or their brother or sister, and they just have great memories associated with the game. And they're able to revisit the game again and kind of go back to that time in their life where things were simpler, they had less responsibilities, it was all about having fun and spending time with people that they loved. And I think that's the best part for me is making those things happen, creating those connections. And then I love that people share that stuff with me, because one of the reasons I started Nightdive is because I played a lot of these games with my dad growing up, and I had such great core memories surrounding so many of them, that when I get to see them out there again and see that other people feel the same way, I mean, it makes it all worth it to me. So that's the best part about working at Nightdive for me.
That's awesome. That's great. I think that's actually a great way to, because that was such a good answer, and like such a great way to get us out of here. I think I'm actually going to skip the last section of the podcast, and we'll we'll rest. We'll rest on that part because it's such a.
learning
I
more
love
things
that sentiment.
about rendering.
So
And
why
further
sully it? Why sully
getting
it? You
better
know,
at it.
the only thing I'll sully that with is the outro. So why don't we do that, shall we? First of all, thanks for listening, Samuel, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, talking about POed and watching me become play very well and skilled at this game because clearly I'm awesome at it. I thrive at 3DO games specifically. Also, I should say probably not the best way to play if especially on PC, but I am a controller first gamer, so therefore I was playing with a controller the whole time, if that wasn't obvious. But yeah, following where Samuel, you can start first. Where can people find you? Do you want people to find you? And if not, that's perfectly okay.
They can find me if they want. I don't like using social media, but
It's a good move. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I do use is Twitter, and I only use it for like announcing stuff or showcasing like for educational purposes, like showcasing how stuff works in video games and stuff like that. But yeah,
Awesome.
if they want,
Yeah.
if they like to
That's great.
learn about that sort of thing, or if they want to learn about what I'm up to and what Nightdive is doing, they can look me up on __ Kaiser on Twitter. And
Cool.
and yeah, that's pretty much the only outlet that I use. And even then, I'm pretty limited in using it. I don't use it as often, but I do use it a few times for anything related to programming and stuff like that.
Great. We'll have that info in the description as well. Stephen, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter, usually doing something questionable. But my handle on there is Pripyat Beast. You can, I guess, check the description in YouTube for that spelling, or just ping us at Nightdive Studio on Twitter. Also, feel free to join our Discord. We have a pretty good community in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have all those links down below in both the podcast description and on YouTube. So yeah, join, follow, say hey, great work, all that stuff. Put comments in there as well. We do, at least I read them all, for better or worse. Appreciate all the positivity, so keep that up. But yeah, this is it again. Reminder: POed, it's out now, so go get it. NeoSprint, wishlist that. Join the Discord. Follow us, all that stuff. Just do the things I said at the beginning. Until next time,